My name is Robbie. I go by the pronouns he, him, and we are here on a Saturday morning to play another session. I believe this is session 6 of Ron Edwards' role-playing game, Sorcerer. And we are going to be taking up the action at the end of a rather eventful party that has just transpired. We're going to start this morning. I'm just going to have the players reintroduce themselves and say a quick word about their characters, and then we will kind of get brought up to speed in terms of where the action is right now and take it forward from there. So Jenny, why don't we start with you?
Hi, I'm Jenny, she, her, and I play Dylan, aspiring punk musician who has decided to take the easy route and get a demon to help inspire him. It hasn't really gone that well because the demon seems to be like hurting a lot of people around him.
And Walter?
Hi, I'm Walter, he, him. I am playing Shawn, also he, him. And Shawn is a earnest, clean-cut cult member. He's kind of part of this, like, like self-help sort of cult in the Orlando area, and he is so into this cult that he's taken to blogging about it and how great that it is. And his demon has helped his blog posts and media presence really explode, which so far Shawn is really enjoying. We'll see how long that lasts.
Okay, and in our last session, there was a party at the mansion of somebody named Richard Barfield. In the course of that party, Dylan was there as a kind of tryout with a new band that was being put together. After the first set, Dylan was asked to accompany somebody named Winifred Levain, who was helping to put the party together. And Winifred led Dylan back to a guest house where Dylan was then assaulted by two large people, but possibly demons. They had filed, sharpened teeth and were trying to take Dylan off somewhere else in the complex. And fortunately, the character Chuck intervened in that, and the two of them were able to kind of get their way back to the party. In the meantime, Shawn, who's Walter's character, was up to some hijinks at the party, and ended up creating something of a scene between a young kind of movie couple, Marianne Flint and Steven Shapiro. It was a young couple who had kind of minor celebrity status. They had been together, but apparently their relationship had been on the rocks, but they were back together again. But due to the shenanigans of Shawn and his demon Aaron, they were able to kind of create a scene between those two, which involved Steven being convinced that Shawn was flirting with his partner, and then he rather rudely kind of intervened and created something of a scene in the middle of the party. And Aaron has been dutiful and making sure to have all of this recorded on his camera on his phone for possible subsequent broadcasting. And you know, at the end of the last session, oh, I should also mention that Shawn had seen Belle kind of moving through the courtyard at one point. And Walter, Shawn had seen some blood on Belle. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh, it was actually, yeah. So it was an interesting moment where well, Shawn kept noticing things. I think first Shawn noticed, maybe it was Alejandro, or Dylan. I'm sorry, Chuck or Dylan. And we checked to see if there was like some recognition of the demons, and there wasn't. So Shawn was just like, it's just oblivious. What's that hubbub about?
Right.
And then Corey came up, Dylan's demon, and we checked again, and Shawn failed that roll again. So Shawn's just like not noticing people's demons, right? Oh, right. Shawn like actually saw Dylan and saw that like a demon tattoo on Dylan's arm, but was just like, oh, just like some poser who got that tattoo somewhere.
Right.
And then for Corey, when Corey came by, like Corey had blood like on her, right? Like on her hands or whatever, and actually bumped into Shawn and got blood on Shawn's brand new shirt that Shawn had like was so proud that he like got some new clothes for this party. And Shawn's like, oh, I got blood, and of course he's like not putting it together again. So yeah, so I think we also kind of established that Shawn was like made a double take at Corey and was like, wow, that person's really hot. So yeah, so I think we kind of I think that's as far as that got at the time.
Yeah.
But then what happened? So then they were like storming back, right? Like Shawn pretty much missed the whole kerfuffle.
Correct.
But they were coming back through the party. I remember Shawn leaving the party, but I don't remember. I think there was some kind of interaction.
Yeah,
with Dylan
I mean, I think that we kind of put you outside the mansion getting ready to leave. And I guess one other important detail is that there has apparently been some type of assault on the property, because when you walk out to the front of the mansion, there is an ambulance waiting out there, and there is somebody, and it happens to be this woman named Lily Pappas, who seems to have been rather brutally assaulted, and she's on a gurney, and there are also a couple.
Right, Lily Pappas. That's right.
Yeah, and there were a couple. So there was the ambulance, and Lily was on a gurney out there, and there were a couple police officers who were kind of trying to start to assess what had happened in terms of this assault.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where we are right now. Let me ask Dylan, what are you planning to do right now? I mean, are you, I imagine that you arrived with the band in a nice van that was kind of provided for you, put together so that you would have all your gear in there and that you would have arrived together. Now, you obviously, you had left the band after the first set, and they had managed to get somebody from the crowd, somebody who happened to be at the party, who was also an aspiring singer, who kind of came on stage when people were wondering what exactly would happen. But you haven't been with the band for the rest of the evening. So Dylan, what do you want to do at this point?
Yeah, I mean, screw them. I was just assaulted. So I tried to talk to the cops. It didn't quite work. And I think at this point, it's sinking in that Lily Pappas conveniently had an accident right after she talked to my demon. But there's nothing I can do about that. So I'm going to keep trying to report my assault.
Okay. So you keep talking to the police officer, or trying to talk to the police officer. The senior officer on the scene has kind of passed this off to the junior officer. And the junior officer will come up and ask, okay, give me your side of the story. What exactly are you reporting, and what does it have to do with this crime that we're investigating?
Look, so what happened was, right after my first set, I went off with Winifred Levine, and she said that she was going to take me to meet Barfield, but she took me to this place with a bunch of people with shark teeth, like shark cultists or something. You know what I mean?
I know, you know, the junior officer says, I don't really understand what you mean. Shark cultists, what is that?
Are the bodies still like back there?
Yeah, surprising that you should ask that, because, you know, while you're having this conversation, you see coming out of the Barfield mansion, you see Winifred Levine, and you see behind Winifred one of these large figures that you would identify as one of the ones who had been involved in the assault. And Winifred walks up to the senior officer, and she starts having a conversation with him.
So I'm gonna like point right at her, and I'm gonna say, "That's her, and that's one of the guys that attacked me. Look, if you want to go back there, I can show you the guys that Chuck took down."
And so you start saying this. Belle is when you start trying to kind of communicate that, Belle is going to kind of tug you on the arm and say, I think we better get out of here.
What do you mean?
I think that senior officer seems to be really listening to Miss Levine, and I think it may not be safe for us to stay here. So what do you do?
Right in front of the junior officer, or does she pull me aside?
I would say it's a little discreet, yeah. That you know, she's, you know, kind of pulling you aside, and then, you know, under her breath a little bit is telling you to.
Okay, you might be right, but we're gonna talk later.
And Belle says, "Oh yes, we definitely will talk later." So, and let's go to Shawn. I mean, you've kind of walked out to the front of it. The you know, with when people have been aware of this one assault that's happened, that's kind of put a damper on the party. I mean, it's already was getting a little bit late. So, you know, you walk out there, you see the ambulance. There are these two officers there. You know, you had seen. Yeah, you know, you've recognized Dylan there. You've recognized Belle is there. Chuck, who you've identified as the bouncer from downstairs at the smell, who had also kind of asked you earlier about this. You know, he had sent his brother up at one point to kind of show you these strange pictures on a cell phone. So, what is Shawn going to do at this point?
Yeah, there's like definitely a lot of crazy stuff going on, right? There's the ambulance, there's the police. I mean, Shawn, I mean, I don't know that Shawn necessarily feels like it's his place to butt in, because he doesn't really know anybody here well. Like, I think he probably recognizes Chuck from the bar, and like maybe I think Shawn never spent enough time hanging out in front of the bar to like probably, you know, ever meet Dylan or Belle before. So is maybe just sees them here for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think, I don't know. I just feel like Shawn probably isn't like motivated to do this. I think Shawn's probably thinking like, oh, I would like want to go home and like upload this video of Steve Shapiro and Marianne Flint, and how hilarious that was, with getting Marianne to speak the oath while hanging out with me, and then Steve getting all pissed off about it.
Yeah, and I think we had said right at the end of last session that, you know, I think I remembered a description of your car, like the valet pulling up your kind of beat up rattly car, right? So it kind of gets pulled up for you, and the valet is there to kind of you know, opens the door for you to get in your car.
I think maybe though one of the last scenes though is like, obviously I'm noticing the police around and the ambulance, and I think that I see Dylan talking to the police officer and Belle, right? And like, and I think I noticed them. I noticed both of them before in the party, and now I noticed them talking to the police. And, you know, and clearly, you know, there's some drama going on and it's a really big deal. And in my mind now, like, okay, they're like troublemakers, right? I don't really know them. I don't even know that they're associated with the smell, but it just, in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, those people cause a lot of trouble. I gotta steer clear of them. I think that is seated in Shawn's mind. And also that, like, well, that Corey is like clearly a real troublemaker, but she's really cute. But damn, she got blood on my shirt. Ah, oh, what a night. Let's go upload these videos.
Yeah, let's do a check. I don't think last session we didn't have Aaron doing. Did we have Aaron doing a check as to whether he identified Belle as being a demon?
I think we were checking like Belle's power versus my character's will as part of the perception roll. So I think the intention was whether my character would recognize another demon.
Okay.
Shawn. So probably not for Aaron.
Okay, so let's do a check before you leave. Let's do a check for Aaron. And this is going to be a check that would pit Aaron's... Oh, wait. Got to get my... give me 1 second. I got to get my character keeper up here.
Yeah. If I could... I hope this doesn't come across as impertinent, Robbie, but it seems like you really want us to recognize our like sorcery in each other. Why don't we just say that like Aaron just like recognizes, you know, some kind of like demon quality and like move on instead of like, I don't know. I feel like at this point it's more interesting for us to just like have that recognition. What do you think? Or do you want to keep the rolls going?
I think I want to, let's at least keep this roll going.
Okay.
You know, this would be, you know, Aaron has a fairly high lore. He has a lore of 6. And so we would match that against Corey's power, which kind of goes into the kind of cover that she would be maintaining. So Walter, if I could get you to roll 6 dice, and Jenny, if I can get you to roll 7 and make them different colors so we can see what is what.
Oh, we're rolling, let's see here. 10-sided dice.
10-sided dice, yeah. Okay. All right, so, and the 10 is from Aaron, correct?
No, that's for Jenny.
Jenny.
Who was it? Was that Belle that was actually rolling? This was this going to be Aaron versus
Belle? Yes. Yeah.
So Belle got the higher die.
Okay. So yeah, with that, I mean, I would say that you know, Aaron is taking some pictures of Belle because, you know, Belle has those that kind of blood that's on her. And I would say, you know, that both Shawn and, well, I'm sorry, that both Dylan and Belle would notice that there was, you know, Aaron was taking some shots with his cell phone at the two of them as they're kind of conversing with the police officer. So, Dylan, are you gonna do anything? I mean, and you know, Shawn, your car is getting ready to be pulled up, and you might have to kind of tug at Aaron a little bit to kind of pull him away from.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, Aaron, it's time to go. So it's been a crazy night.
Yeah, well, yeah, but what an amazing evening! This is great.
So I think Belle and I actually don't have a ride. So I think we're probably making our way out. And is it okay if I say that Dylan recognizes Shawn as being from the smell? Like,
yeah, no, I think that you've you know, you've definitely kind of pick up on, you know, that, oh, this is a guy who you've seen around the smell, not really in the club, but you kind of see him going up the stairs to the second floor.
Yeah, yeah. You've seen him like go in the like side door to the stairs up with like, you know, with like a bag of takeout or whatever. And, you know, like it's, yeah, you've probably noticed that he lives there, but he walks by, and I mean, I think he stands out because he's like not a punk. But like when he's walks by and you've been out front, he's just been like, oh, it's just a crowd of punks. Like, you know, nobody stood out.
great. I think Dylan is gonna, as soon as like the car pulls up, Dylan is gonna try and bum a ride from Shawn.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think your only other immediate option for a ride would be to try to go back to the band, but I don't know like how the band would be reacting to you since you had kind of abandoned them after the first set.
Yeah, it's a little too hard to explain that we're running from the police right now.
Okay, so why don't you what does Dylan say to Shawn then?
So I'm dragging like Belle up with me. I'm assuming she has no objections to that. I'm just like, hey, I recognize you from the smell. Can I get a ride? Are you going back there?
What the smell? I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'm going back there. Okay, yeah, I guess get in. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, my name's Shawn.
Oh, I'm Dylan.
Hey, good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's been pretty crazy here. You've been talking to the police. Do you know what's going on?
I decided to trust Shawn after like a moment of not thinking about it. Yeah, there's something fucked up going on at that party. I was going to meet Stuart Barfield and I got attacked by those shark cultists. Like, what? It was like weird and scary.
Wow. Like I've heard of Stuart Barfield, but like shark cultists, I'm having trouble with that. Is that like a new band or something?
No, I mean, I think they were like literal shark cultists.
Like they don't miss an episode of Shark Week. What would that be?
It was like they had like those shark teeth. Like they'd all gotten like really expensive cosmetic dentistry.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I don't like follow the punk scene at all, so I like wouldn't know about, you know, any of that stuff. But that sounds cool, right? I mean, you know, I definitely dig like the punk style and stuff. It's just not my kind of music. Anyway, hop on in.
So I think Dylan has like this moment where he's like, no, 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 like that's not how it went down. It was actually a deeply traumatizing experience for me. But then he just like realizes that this is a good place to be in. So he's just like, yeah, I mean, punk's weird, right? And then I just hop on in. Belle, my girlfriend.
Yeah, sure. Hey, I think you got blood on my new shirt earlier tonight, by the way. I mean, you know, maybe it'll come out. I hope so.
Yeah, but I mean, Belle would say, "Oh, yeah, I'm sure it'll come out." And are you sure it was me that got blood on? Oh, yeah, yeah. And Belle looks down at that kind of the blood on her and is kind of like wiping it off. But she's also interested in kind of getting into the car as well. So, you know, she'll kind of get into the back seat of the car, and you know, you do see, you know, Winifred is like more animated talking to the police officer. The police officers, you know, they're definitely glancing in your direction periodically, and yeah, and the police officer is also very much taking notes down as to what Winifred is saying. He's very paying, you know, avid attention to what Winifred is telling him.
Do I know Winifred? Was Winifred the person who invited me to the party?
Yeah, you don't know her very well, but she kind of made a point when people were first getting there to kind of make a quick little introduction and to, you know, say, "Oh, thank you for coming to the party." And
okay, all right, cool.
So you all hop into the car and are driving off. You know, I would say that on the drive back to the smell, you have Belle and Aaron in the back seat, and Aaron has his phone out and is kind of showing pictures and videos to Belle, and you know, Belle is very kind of interested in some of these shots of things that have been happening at the party. And I would say, you know, this would definitely be a case where the two of them being in close proximity, having this conversation, they would be starting to kind of pick up on the fact that they are kindred spirits, as you might say. And you know, you work. I would say that Belle and Aaron are their attention is pretty much directed, you know, at, you know, what Aaron has on the phone and kind of conversations that they're having about, you know, all of these things that are there in the kind of footage that Aaron has shot. And you know, you get back to the smell, and you know, I guess the way that this would, I mean, I think that your respective demons would, I think that they would, you know, once you get back to the smell, they have a moment to kind of pull you aside. I mean, they would kind of tip you off to the fact that, right, there's more than one demon in this party, right? That you know, Belle and Aaron would both kind of tip you all off that each other is a demon. And we'll say that would happen, you know, shortly after you kind of pull back to the smell and park the car and get out of the car, that the demons would kind of make some revelation to you that that other person is not actually a person, but is in fact a demon.
Would this happen when we're all still together, or would they like later on after we go our separate ways?
Yeah.
And what are we going to do? Because it's still, we left the party kind of early, right? So.
Yeah, although I think the party, especially with that assault that had happened, that kind of broke some things up a little bit. You know, with the police arriving on the scene in an ambulance out front, and, you know, that was something that certainly broke the kind of flow of the party.
Yeah. And I think Shawn is smitten enough with Corey that Shawn is like trying to like, you know, just sort of like keep some conversation going in the car, and you know, and probably a little bit awkward because Shawn's probably trying to like look a little cooler than he is, and he's like so not cool that like even looking a little cooler isn't very good. And so yeah, and he's probably like oh, hey, you know, there's this like I didn't get a chance to eat at the party. There's this like crispy chicken place on the way back that has really good fried chicken. You want to stop? We can go inside and grab some chicken on the way back to the smell.
Dylan's just sitting there being like,
Sean's like, I'm just gonna park out in front for a minute, and I'm just gonna go inside and grab some. Aaron, you want any?
Sure. Yeah. Get me a few chicken fingers while you're in there.
All right. Okay, I'll get that, and I'm gonna get a 3-piece meal. You don't want anything, Dylan, Corey?
Sure. I'll get some chicken tenders.
All right, sounds good. All right, Corey.
Yeah, Corey maybe just says, "Oh, get me a soda."
All right, yeah. Okay, I'll be right back. And he goes like inside. It's like this like gas station that has like a little inside the like mini mart. They also have this like crispy chicken counter where they sell like crispy chicken, fried chicken stuff. And Shawn goes inside and grabs some stuff. Maybe there's a moment when Shawn goes inside where something gets exchanged in the car.
Yeah, I mean, I think with that opportunity, I think that with Shawn out, I think, Corey turns to Dylan and says, Dylan, I think I need to tell you something about our new friend here. He's not entirely as he appears to be.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of not sure how he got in the party. No offense, Aaron, but
and Aaron, he says, "Oh, that's no offense. I mean, I have certain abilities that are able to kind of get me into parties and situations where I want to be, and it has nothing to do with my appearance, And Corey says, Dylan, I think it's time to let you know that this is a much bigger world than what you think it is. It's a much bigger world when it comes to demons than what you think.
What do you mean, Corey?
What I mean is that this person who calls himself Aaron is a kindred spirit for me.
So, wait, then does that mean that Shawn is a musician?
No. Shawn is not a musician, but Shawn has a special friend just as you have a special friend.
Okay, Corey, why don't you just like lay it on me straight? Like this omission thing and special friend thing is so like Saturday Night Special.
I think at that moment, like the car door opens and Shawn gets in. I told you this place was really fast. Hey, here you go. Doesn't this smell great? I love this place. They're open till 4 in the morning too.
Okay, I have a question for you, Shawn. Do you summon demons?
Shawn looks into the. I'm for some reason I'm imagining that. So I'm imagining like Aaron's probably in the front seat in the passenger side. Shawn's driving, and the two of you are in the back. I think Shawn just like looks across the passenger seat at Aaron, and then looks back and is like, you mean, is that like a euphemism for playing music or something?
No, I mean like literally, draw a pentagram, read some books, say some things in like weird demon languages that kind of like tear the way out of your mouth. Corey right there, Belle, it's a demon.
You kind of hear like the box with the chicken meal in Shawn's lap like tumble to the floor as he kind of like he's like oh shit, oh man, I got my chicken everywhere. Hold on a minute, I gotta clean this up. And he just starts like cleaning up the chicken that's spilled everywhere, and he like finally gets it back in the box. He's like, oh man, All right. I think we should just go back to the smell. I'm just gonna drop you off. He's like pulling out out of the drive through. So Aaron, did what were you talking about while I was away?
Well, I was showing Belle these pictures and shots that I had been taking, but one thing led to another, and I kind of explained the background of what was going on, and Belle in turn was kind of letting me know um, what she had been up to during the party, and it was, I mean, it just became clear that we were, you know, we were both demons. I mean, we
Who both?
yes.
Wait. Rewind, Aaron. Both? Both who? What? Both?
That's what I'm telling you, man.
What?
Corpus is a demon, like a spirit of
We like stop a little too suddenly, and like everybody jolts forward in the car, and Shawn's like, "Okay, hold on a minute." And he like pulls the car off to the side of the road, and he like puts it in park. He's like, "Wait, say that again."
I must say that it is amazing to me how dense humans can sometimes be. What you need to know is, well, Shawn, you know about our special relationship, and you know about the powers that I'm able to exert on your behalf.
And are you sure you should be saying all this to people we don't really know, Aaron?
Well, I think we might want to get to know our new friends a little bit better because they may be of some use to us.
You just this while we're in the car, and I guess Dylan just kind of looks like at Belle like, "Are you sure this is someone we should be getting to know?"
Well, and Belle's response is that Belle says, Dylan, you have ruined golden opportunities for yourself and for the two of us. Your last gigs have been disastrous. And when I started to hear a little bit about what Aaron was up to, I started thinking that maybe a small career change might be possible and in order. I mean, your career right now, Dylan, is on the rocks. I mean, between the last gig you had at the Smell and the gig tonight, what kind of a future do you think you have on the stage?
Of course I have a future. That's why I have you.
Well, okay, I'm trying to help you with your career, but every time I try to help you, you shove me aside and try to take things in some new direction. And so I'm starting to have to find alternative means of satisfying my desires because you clearly are not satisfying my desires. You know what my desire is? My desire originally was to get a little bit of recognition and notoriety for the kind of creative power that I have. And you know what I'm now resorting to get myself a little bit of satisfaction? And at this point, she grabs Aaron's cell phone out of his hand and shows you the battered Lily Pappas on the gurney and says, "This is what I'm doing now to get myself some satisfaction."
Right now, Shawn is like squirming in his seat really uncomfortably, you know, he's like out with a couple who's having like a really loud like argument between each other, and he's like the third wheel, and he's like, I so don't want to be here right now.
Yeah, I think she's breaking up with me in like the most victim blamey and like violent way possible.
Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, with Belle now directly kind of telling you that, I mean, she's telling you, I'm responsible for these injuries that Lily Pappas has sustained. Dylan, I'm going to have you make a humanity check. Okay. So you have 7 humanity, and it's basically just, for this type of a humanity check, it's a 7 versus 7. So, we'll just go on and, is that your roll that's up there right now?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So let me roll. I'm going to roll 7 against that. You are rolling amazing when it comes to the checks.
I'm rolling amazing, but like not in a way that really is good as a sorcerer. It's like, I'm going to keep on being human. No one's going to know who I am.
Oh, but did you see this? So
Oh my.
rolled 2 10s. So your humanity is going to drop 1.
Okay.
And you know, the humanity drop in some ways doesn't have any huge mechanical effect per se. I think it does affect role playing a little bit, because I mean, I think what the idea is here that with this revelation from Belle, it's starting to kind of dawn on you a little bit more of, you know, who it is that Belle is and what Belle is capable of.
Does that mean I should have like a callous response, or does that just mean that I'm becoming more cynical?
Well, yeah, well, we've defined humanity in terms of identity and empathy, and so something along the lines of that would be affected. Yeah, and I think it clearly is suggesting that you know, that there is a kind of dawning recognition of that you've been enlightened a little bit as to, you know, who exactly this demon is and what this demon is capable of doing.
So Dylan recoils a bit at the sight of like this grisly scene, and he just kind of like stares at Korbantos for a moment, and he says, okay, look, my career is not over. Now, the whole thing with Stuart Barfield's secretary, like, no one could have saw that coming. I know you didn't. I know I didn't. This whole new band thing just wasn't working out. We'll go back to the Fisher Kings. We'll play the smell. It'll all be fine. There won't be any more need for any of this.
Belle says, well, we will see about that, but it may be that there's more than one way to achieve notoriety. Yeah, I mean, you were trying to achieve notoriety on the stage, and at least right now, that doesn't seem to be entirely working out for you. But as Aaron will tell you, there are other ways to achieve notoriety. There's the whole internet out there that's just waiting for new celebrities. There's lots of new ways to achieve fame that are out there, and it's not necessarily just something that needs to be confined to the stage.
The internet? fame on that is like for teenage girls and I don't know, like nerds.
And, Belle says, the internet has a much wider audience and has much greater power than I think you give it credit for, or that you give credit to it for.
Okay, look, you remember how it was when we were first starting out? We were still having trouble booking, forming the band. It's just gonna take a bit of time for us to build ourselves back up. And this time we've got a base to start with. Come on, Korobontos.
We'll see. We'll see. You mentioned the Fisher Kings. We'll see whether they want you, but the last time you played with them, you kind of left them hanging out to dry. So I wouldn't necessarily bank on them taking you back.
They can't kick me out. I started that band.
I don't know, Dylan, that you know your history of bands very well, but there's been more than one instance of somebody starting a band and subsequently getting kicked out of the band. You wouldn't be the first.
Don't patronize me like that, Vel. They can't kick me out. They're not going to kick me out. They need me.
Belle says, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, and so Shawn, what are you going to do? I mean, this argument is, I think, wrapping up. Belle, I think at the end of the argument, kind of in a huff, just kind of gets back in the car and slams the door.
So this was taking place outside in front of the car?
Well, didn't you say that you had pulled off? Is that right?
I had yeah, I pulled the car off to the side of the road, and I think throughout this whole argument, I was imagining that the two of them were arguing in the back seat the whole time, and Shawn is just kind of like sitting in the front seat, like kind of trying not to look at them, but he can't, like, he's like wants to pretend he can't hear them, but like obviously he can because they're like saying all this with elevated voices. And Shawn's just like, okay, I shouldn't have agreed to give them a ride. This is so fucking awkward, and they know I have a demon. I don't even know what that means. I don't want to be here in so many ways for so many reasons. And Shawn's just, and as their like conversation seems to kind of come to a close, although apparently a very acrimonious close. So there's like this like electric tension still in the car, right? I think Shawn's just like, okay, I'm gonna drive back to the smell now. How about I just put on some music? And he like hits the music, and it's like it's probably like a classical music station.
And so Belle is now just kind of looking out the window. I mean, it's not wanting to really engage anymore. Aaron is sitting there next to you, and is Aaron is like, Shawn, don't get upset. We've got great things brewing. Just wait till we get back to our place and we'll start.
Aaron, I'm just not feeling super comfortable right now. I'm kind of out of my element. Maybe Diana would know what to do. I don't know what to do right now, Aaron.
And Aaron says that's a great idea. Yeah, I think Diana would be great for us to contact when we get home. I'm sure she'll have some ideas as to what our next step might be.
Okay, all right, that's a good idea. So I think we like finally. I think Shawn's just gonna want to drive in silence and like gets back in front of the smell and parks in his usual place. There's this like back alley next to the smell where there's usually a place to park, and so he always parks there. And he's like, yeah, well, it was Nice meeting you, Dylan and Belle. I'll guess I'll probably see you around. Have a good night. And Shawn just like wants to get away.
Okay. Yeah, and I think what we can do now is I do have a scene I could set up with Shawn and Diana. I think that would be a good idea. And then also another scene with Dylan and Belle. And there may be opportunity then with that. I mean, we'll see how you all want to play it out in terms of whether you want to, uh, you know, continue communication with each other, or whether we'll kind of separate for a little bit in terms of those narratives. So I think this might be a good time for a brief break.
Yeah, and just out of play, also to kind of clarify, like, I'm like all about our characters like spending more time and being in cahoots together and stuff and having scenes together. But I think probably for a while, like I'm gonna like play Aaron or play Shawn as like not wanting anything to do with this and being really like awkward and like oh my god, someone else knows that I do demons other than Diana. This is not good. But that doesn't mean that as a player I don't like. I'm all about those scenes. I'm just going to be really uncomfortable in all of them. Shawn is rather.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, actually. Just poor Shawn. I mean, for marriage counseling. Like as a player, I would like to track, but I'm also having fun like seeing people do their own thing. Dylan as a character is probably going to try to push for some more interaction with Shawn. It will probably be incredibly awkward because like I think he realizes that he needs advice and there isn't really anyone he can trust right now. And Aaron is not fit for advice.
Yeah, and it probably came out in the conversation that, you know, not only does Shawn know a lot more about demons than he's letting on, but Shawn actually has like contacts, right? Like there's this Diana that Shawn obviously trusts to get involved about this demon conversation, right? So who's that? And yeah, I would imagine that it's clear to Dylan that Shawn knows a lot more than he's letting on.
Yeah, and I think another thing that Dylan may be thinking about, Belle is going to be has already been making it clear that you know Belle Corybantos does not feel like she's getting her desires met. And when a demon doesn't feel like it's getting its desires met, they get increasingly irritated and rebellious, right? And so, you know, Belle is maybe going to be open to, you know, continuing with the music career, but it also is seeming to Belle like, okay, maybe the music career is not going to get my desires met, and maybe we need to kind of put our energies in a different direction. And right, and Aaron may be opening up something new for Belle, right? Belle is starting to think about like, oh, you know, there's this whole kind of social media internet thing that Aaron has going on, which was revealed to her a little bit as, you know, during that car ride, and is thinking, okay, well, maybe there's another way I can get my desires met, an alternative here. Okay, so let's go on and take about 5 minutes, and then we'll have a scene with Shawn and Diana and see what happens there.
Sounds good. Yeah, I thought that scene in the car was really fun. I enjoyed that. Also, I was just constantly being like, Shawn does not want to be here right now. And I was just like, that's great. How can I turn this into like fun role playing?
Yeah, well, I think yeah, and things are set up now, yeah, for some added added drama in terms of how things continue to develop here. Okay, so why don't we we'll fast forward it to the next day, and there was a suggestion that you you had, I guess it was Shawn who had suggested maybe talking to Diana, right? And so you going to get in touch with Diana then, and
Yeah, well, I think I mean, we haven't really established Shawn's relationship with Diana too much, but we know that Shawn is an apprentice to Diana, right? We decided that during character generation, and presumably Diana, helped train Shawn to summon Aaron. Probably even, I would imagine, even like groomed Aaron, like the original Aaron, like when Aaron had a soul of their own, when Aaron was a human, as helped Shawn groom Aaron as like a vessel for summoning a demon into. Yeah, because Aaron has a real name that we don't use, a demon name that we don't use very often. I don't even remember what it is. Arathael.
Right.
Arathael. And yeah, and then and again, like, how did Diana and Shawn meet? I mean, I'm guessing that Diana saw something in Shawn as they were, like at cult meetings and functions together, and kind of decided to like somehow take Shawn under her wing, and right. But like we haven't really like planned out, we haven't gone into any of the details of that, or what Diana's real motives for doing that might be, or even what Diana's real relationship to the cult is. Like, is she actually dedicated to the cult, or is that just like a front for her something else? I mean, who knows? I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like there's this whole like really interesting deep backstory of Diana that we haven't actually described at all yet. And we don't need to do that right now, but just like for context, right? Like, I'm imagining that that even though we haven't played a lot to this yet, that Shawn kind of regularly goes to Diana for advice, especially around the demon thing, and maybe has it recently because the media things like exploded. All that's been really good. Shawn's kind of like feeling really comfortable with Aaron now. And has kind of felt more independent in his relationship with just him and Aaron. But I think this happened, and now he's kind of reverting a little bit. He's like, okay, yeah, I got to talk to Diana. I'm like, I got to figure out how to handle this. Diana will know what to do, right? He's like really falling hard into the apprentice mode again.
Right. Yeah. So you why don't we set the scene at the kind of office building of the 8th Laurel where Diana has her office, and you on a fairly regular basis will drop by, right, to have meetings with Diana, and Diana has used these meetings to sometimes reveal new aspects of not just talking about the cult, but also has, right, this other dimension of this kind of sorcery and activating and communicating with demons that she's been able to kind of reveal to you. So you have one of these regular meetings with her, and you walk into her office, and Diana is behind her desk and says, "Oh, Shawn, things seem to be going very well, and I've heard a little bit about some of the happenings at the Barfield mansion. Why don't you sit down and tell me a little bit about what was going on there and what your plans are?"
So it was a shit show. I mean, there was blood, there was police, there was an ambulance. I mean, I was having fun at first, but then there was this. So okay, there's all right. So I was, and we were. So I was driving. There was these like punk people that were talking to the police, and they asked me to drive them home, and I felt like it was hard to say. So I agreed, and then so like they like this there was like a I think they were another once someone was there was like another demon in the car that Aaron was talking to, and then this punk was like, "Hey, Shawn, tell me about your demon." And I was like, "Whoa, that's kind of personal, I don't really know you." And and I don't think I handled it really well. What do you do in those situations?
Um, well, that's unusual because I mean there are other demons out there, but they're pretty rare. Who exactly? You said it was a punk person?
They were like singing on stage, and they oh shit, yeah, they had like the your the book, the one in the black cover with the like the red, the summoning of Sig, I think, that book, and it had like these runes on the front cover. She had those same runes on her arm, like a tattoo, or his arm, on his arm as a tattoo. And yeah, he's this like punk singer. At first, I just thought it was like, oh, he just wants to be badass. But yeah, he's got these tattoos. He's like some kind of demon summoning punk.
Uh,
Wow. That's
well,
like, that sounds so hardcore.
yeah. Diana at this point says,
Fuck.
"Okay, so this tattoo." Uh,
Yeah.
and she turns to her computer screen and starts to type some things in and turns the monitor around then so that you can see it and starts
Yeah, that's it. That was the one.
that's the one.
Yeah, I knew I recognized that. What is that?
um well, I think we'll need to investigate a little bit more about exactly who this is that we're dealing with, but I think that there's a pretty strong confirmation here that
Are all demons like into punks and demons? Is this like a thing? I mean, like they like, like this whole Satanism stuff. It's true, isn't it? Like all these punks, they're probably all into demons. They probably all have demons and Satan worshiping scumbags and shit. What the?
well,
Oh my god! Maybe I shouldn't live above a punk club.
Diana looks at you and says, "Shawn, get a grip on yourself. You're not a punk, but you have a demon. You know that I'm not a punk, but
No,
we
I
both
mean, but these are like powers that like are going to help further the cause of the eighth laurel, and they're on our side. These are like, I mean, they're more like angels or something, right?
no, they're not angels. They're not angels, but they
I
are.
mean, it's like a matter of perspective,
Well, I
right?
guess you could say that. Yeah, that they are powers, and
Yeah,
those powers can be used for a variety of purposes,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so
Uh-huh.
it does depend on, what your objective is and how you're using the powers. Shawn, I think it is now time for you to take another step in your journey. I think it's
Okay.
time for you to do something that will open your eyes to what exactly we might be able to accomplish with the power of these entities that, if you want to call them angels, fine. I'll call them demons. That's fine. Um, But I think that there is a way for you to get a better handle on exactly what these powers are and what use we can put them to.
Okay.
And Diana,
So I'm on board with that, Dana. But you don't think that this person's a problem and it's okay that they know? I mean, I thought like maybe it was the kind of thing that I shouldn't like talk about in public. I don't know. I don't know how to talk about it. If someone asks me about my demon, if someone, knows things like that about Aaron, I don't know what to say.
well, I would suggest this. In general, I wouldn't divulge Aaron's identity to anybody.
But what if Aaron divulges his own identity?
Well, yeah, that's kind of what happened here, isn't it? I mean, that Aaron got in this conversation with this other demon, and right, one thing led to another, and pretty soon they had, this revelation or mutual disclosure or something like that that happened.
Yeah, sometimes Aaron really has a mind of his own, Like like I kind of like, I had a dog growing up, and he was like sometimes he would like cause trouble, or he'd chew on something he wasn't supposed to chew on. But in general, I was like able to keep him in line. And I'm having a lot of trouble with that. With like Aaron is really seems to have a lot of ideas, and we mostly get along, but sometimes I feel like I just feel like Aaron is, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like he's kind of got too many ideas.
Yeah, that may be true. And maybe what we're about to do will help in getting Aaron under more control.
Okay.
Now, what I would say first of all is, generally speaking, bad idea to disclose Aaron's identity to talk about demons with other people. In this particular case, though, there's already water under the bridge and we can't reverse time. And like it or not, you are now in some type of communication with or have some association with another sorcerer and another demon. And I think that we should not panic about that, but maybe see it as an opportunity for us. There might be a way of bringing this sorcerer and demon, if not into the fold, at least working out some type of association with them that would be beneficial to us.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay. So they could help us in promoting the eighth laurel and
Absolutely.
getting my blogs out there.
Maybe. You say that this was some type of punk band member, and now you may react negatively to that, but musicians can have a certain charismatic charm to them, and musicians may be able to reach other audiences that
Yeah.
you
I
may not
mean,
be able to reach.
the crowd at their first when they first started playing at the beginning of the party, they had a lot of people were around them and really into the music. Yeah, I could totally tell these people, this could be this Dylan person seems to be a good singer. He's probably could totally, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's famous. I don't really like follow that, but I mean, he seemed to be at this big party, so he must be doing all right. A lot of people like what he's doing.
Yeah, so I think that, instead of being, judgmental or instead of closing any doors, I think, we let this ride a little bit and see where it might take us. Now, I do have another thing that I think deserves our immediate attention, and this may be a kind of useful thing for you to take on that will open some new doors of enlightenment for you.
Okay.
Specifically, what I'm referring to is this troll who calls himself the Revealer and who seems to know something about my identity.
Okay.
I think we need to take some type of direct action to put the Revealer in his place.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We definitely need to. Yeah. I'll do anything to help protect you, Diana. Just tell me what I need to do.
Well, there are, I think, different possibilities. One possibility would be to see if we could exert some type of demonic influence, or you might say angelic influence,
Uh-huh.
on the Revealer and get him to do something that would compromise him, that would harm him in some way. You've already been investigating ways of kind of exerting some type of special power through the internet, and the Revealer is somebody who kind of seems to live and breathe on the internet. So there may be some way of achieving something that way. Another idea would be this. Because of the contacts and the audience that the Revealer has, maybe there would be a way of turning him secretly to our side so that he could retain his position as the Revealer. But through that position, if he was turned secretly to our side, he might be able to do things that actually would be helpful to us rather than harmful to us.
Interesting. Do you think I could convince the Revealer? I mean, do we? We don't really know the Revealer's motivations, do we?
No,
Do you?
not fully. I mean, I know a little bit about him, and we're kind of continuing to investigate. I'm continuing to investigate who he is, and I'm finding out some things. But you know,
Yeah.
it may be possible that we don't even need to convince the Revealer of anything. If we could flush him into the open, and maybe you had a meeting with him when Aaron is around, he
Yeah.
might be able to use, well, it may be that who was once Aaron could now be the Revealer. Do you get my drift?
Whoa. Really? That could happen?
Well, you know about some of Aaron's powers.
Yeah.
You know that Aaron isn't really Aaron. Aaron is just a vessel.
Well, yeah.
And
Yeah. I
and
mean, I
and
remember,
mhm,
and when we summoned it, his name was Erethael.
mhm.
I remember. And yeah, I got so used to just calling him Aaron that, but I don't think about it sometimes. But yeah, I know it's Erethael inside Aaron.
So, and Erethael, I don't think is especially uptight about what vessel he is in. Actually, he might look at the look at this as an opportunity to have something fresh and new, right? A new vessel for him to uh, take on.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah. All right. I see where you're coming from.
And
Yeah. And then yeah, and then Aaron would just be Aaron again.
yeah, right. Yeah. He would just be Aaron again.
Okay. Sure. That makes sense.
Now, if this is going to happen, we need to somehow arrange a meeting with the revealer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so you have the contact info for the revealer. Yeah. Aaron, Aaron, Aaron and I we'll start talking to him, and we'll figure out what the revealer is up to. I bet we can find something. Yeah, yeah, we'll get on that.
Okay, and Diana smiles at that and says, "Oh, okay, that sounds great." And I'm sure if you are successful in doing this, it would be useful to me. But I think that this is going to ultimately be useful to you and will open your eyes to, just how influential this power is that you are kind of learning to get a handle on, right? Erythale is a powerful entity, and I think that through if this is successful, if Erythale is able to take on a new vessel, that it will exponentially increase both your knowledge of what this power involves, and it will also vastly increase your ability to influence the general public. I mean, just imagine this. We would have you still with your great social media blitz that is taking off, and then our, primary detractor also secretly will have become part of our side as
Oh,
well.
that's brilliant, Diana. You are a genius. It's thanks so much for just I was really felt kind of lost before I got here today, and now I feel like, yeah, you're right. Like this is all part of the plan. I think everything's coming together. Yeah, this is great. Thank you, Diana. This is,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna make this happen. I'm really excited about this. We'll find the revealer. Yeah, and we'll be allies soon. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, so Diana's very happy. She's smiling, and she'll show you out of the office. And in terms of getting in touch with the revealer, she has some added information that she's been able to pull together as to who exactly this person might be. They do keep an active, internet site up, and so kind of getting. And the revealer has been in touch with you a little bit, right? And so, getting in touch with the revealer is not going to be a difficult matter. So
Okay.
why don't we leave that story there for right now, and let's
Yeah.
go to Dylan. And Dylan, the next day after this event at the Barfield mansion, Belle. Now, have we established like Belle stays at a different place, correct, in terms of apartments? Okay. So Belle would get in touch with you the next morning, asking if she can come over to your apartment.
So to be clear, I didn't sleep the whole night. Like, I think as soon as I got home and away from people and demons,
Mm-hmm.
but I just started like shaking, like, oh my god, I was kidnapped. There are other demons around. One of them might be colluding with my demon in some sense. And by the way, my demon hurt another person.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get that message, like that's like right when I finally managed to start to go to sleep, and I get that bzzz. So I just text her like, sure.
Okay. And, Belle, just a short reply, just says, great, I'll be over in a few minutes. And a few minutes later, you get a knock on your apartment door, and it is Belle.
So I let her in. I mean, we kind of skip the formalities where it's like, oh, do you want a glass of something to drink? Because, she's a demon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just ask her, what do you want to talk about?
Belle pulls out her cell phone and says, I don't know exactly what I should think about this, but I got some message from somebody who I don't know. I don't know where exactly it came from, but it directed me to this. And she on the cell phone, there's a video that she has, and the video is very grainy, not really good clarity or quality, but it shows what is clearly a violent assault that is happening. And Belle says, do you know what this is showing? Do you know who these people are? I mean, there's one person that is beating up another person. And it's from a kind of camera angle that would have been like, it's an indoor scene from a camera angle that would have been kind of high up in the room. So it's kind of like an overhead shot of what's happening.
I guess my first thought is that as a player, is that it's a shot of like Chuck and I getting up to shenanigans, but do I recognize like anything? Does anything look familiar?
I guess, what would be familiar when you look at it really closely, you can see that the person who is dishing it out is Belle. Okay. And, Belle will reveal that she says, I know it's kind of hard to identify people here, but that's me. And the person on the floor that I'm punching and kicking, that's Lily Pappas.
Why are you showing me this?
Well, I'm a little confused. I'm not sure exactly how this footage was taken, how this recording was taken. But this video, I was directed to a kind of strange website that has all sorts of bizarre, strange videos. I mean, they're videos of assaults that are in progress. Some of them are pictures of even, it looks like people getting shot. Really strange stuff. And this video is there as well. It's kind of disturbing, but it's also kind of thrilling to me. I mean, it's like me, right, in the spotlight a little bit, but nobody knows it's me. I don't think they know it's me. I mean, you can't really see much from it. It's so kind of dark in that room. It was dark in that room, right? It's kind of not very good resolution at all to what's going on, but I know it's me, and that's Lily Pappas.
I think Dylan just kind of takes a moment as all the pieces click together.
And I don't know. I mean, Belle is like, I'm kind of fascinated with this. I'm a little afraid of it. I mean, that I saw Winifred talking to that police officer, and they were looking over at us. And I mean, I'm a little concerned that the police might be coming after me, but there's also a kind of curious kind of thrill of like seeing myself, you know, out there in front of some type of public.
Well, no one ever pays attention to those websites anyway. It's all just freaky porn shit. Is the sorry, out of character, is the camera like from above or?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it seems like a stationary camera from like high up in the room.
Yeah. Okay, so I know that it's not Aaron probably, which was my first thought.
Yeah, it seems like it would be like,
yeah,
it looks like it's like from the ceiling.
Yeah, also they're best friends forever now, so so Dylan looks at Belle and he says, I'm much more worried about the fact that this is probably some kind of blackmail attempt or whatever was going on at the party last night. I think we should focus on that. Whoever did this, they're threatening you. They want you to do something.
Yeah, that the message, I mean, it just showed me this. And as I say, I mean, aside from the fact that there's, you know, there's this strange, bizarro, you know, website where people post these types of videos, I don't really know where exactly this is coming from.
Did you do some, you know, freaky magic shit? And I'm like looking at the video to see if she did any freaky magic shit.
You know, it does seem like if you're looking for that type of thing, yeah, you can kind of tell that, you know, Belle, some of the blows were being struck just by herself physically, but there are some spots where you can see some type of harm being inflicted where, you know, Lily Pappas is having some reaction to a blow or something that has been struck, but it's not from some direct physical contact from Belle.
Let me borrow your phone. I think I can find someone to track this person down.
Okay. And, you know, Belle will give you the phone.
I pocket that phone.
Okay. And you know, Belle says, do you think it's, are you planning to go to Aaron?
Aaron?
Yeah, Aaron, you remember the guy who was in the car last night? He knows all sorts of stuff about the internet. I mean, he was telling when he was showing me the videos and photos that he was shooting, he was telling me that, you know, he and Shawn were, you know, part of this group called the Eighth Laurel, and that they have, you know, all sorts of things going on with social media, that they're helping this group, the Eighth Laurel, with, you know, their whole social media campaign. He seemed to know a lot of stuff about, you know, computers and websites and things like that. He was telling me, like, you know, all the different, you know, things that the two of them have been up to. They have a blog that they're running. They've actually got like this meme that's kind of going on. I kind of looked it up. It's really fascinating. They have people like all around the world who are taking this kind of strange oath and kind of vowing their allegiance to the Eighth Laurel and stuff. And they're doing it kind of as a joke, but I mean, it's something that clearly is taking off.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds really interesting. I was thinking about taking it to my buddy Chuck. He knows all sorts of things about computers and security. I bet he can help us track things down. He's got connections or something. But this whole Eighth Laurel thing, I mean, is this what you and Aaron were talking about?
Just a little bit. I mean, we, you know, we couldn't talk a really long time, but yeah, I mean, he was, letting me know a little bit about like what he was doing, and you know, he's really a kind of interesting fellow. And Shawn, Shawn, I don't know what to think about him. He's kind of dense, don't you think? I mean, it's like, he has a hard time putting things together sometimes.
Yeah, he's very different from Aaron.
Yeah, but the two of them seem like a curious team, kind of like the odd couple.
Yeah, kind of. Why don't you go find out more about the eighth Laurel from Aaron? I've been kind of thinking about what you were saying last night, and you're right. Maybe it is time to start looking into different platforms.
Yeah.
I don't want to. The music's important, right? But there are YouTube stars who do music and then they get signed on by major labels. There's no reason we can't work something out, right, Belle?
Yeah, I would love to work something out. I mean, I know, Dylan, things have been a little bit rocky for you of late, and you're trying to get your feet under you. And I really hope we can get some kind of new popularity going for you. I think it's going to be hard, though. I mean, at least the music side of things. Um, I don't think you're going to be playing with that band that you were playing with last night anymore.
Well, considering they kind of almost got me kidnapped, actually did get me kidnapped, I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, we don't need them.
Yeah, okay. And I don't know the Fisher Kings. We'll have to see. Are you still planning on trying to get back together with them?
Yeah, I was gonna call them later and then see if they wanted to see about what our next gig is gonna be.
Okay. And Belle says, I hope something can be worked out there, and I hope that we can have a new kind of understanding that, like, if you are successful, that maybe you need to take my advice a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, I see that now. I mean, to be honest, the thing with Jonathan kind of threw me off a bit, and I guess I got stubborn. It was just like you said, I'm trying to find my footing.
Okay. And so she at that point says, okay, well, yeah, I think what I'll do is, do you want me to go and talk to Aaron a little bit more about what exactly the Eighth Laurel is about and what they're up to?
Yeah, and maybe find out why they were at that party. I mean, Aaron seems great and all, but I'm wondering if there's like some kind of connection between them and, the shark people that attacked us.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Aaron and I seem to kind of hit it off. That usually, I don't think it usually happens between demons. I mean, demons a lot of times are kind of suspicious of each other. But I was really getting some good vibes from Aaron, and it just, yeah, seems like maybe there are opportunities there for us.
Yeah, I mean, just yeah, I mean, just let me know how things go.
Yeah. Okay. So at that point, Belle seems a little better spirits, and so she leaves. And after she leaves, Dylan, what do you think you're going to be up to then for the rest of the day?
As soon as she leaves, I just like let out a breath of holy fucking shit. That was first of all terrifying, and second, I think I'm really fucked right now. So I pull out that phone and then I text back, who are you?
Oh, so you're texting back to the one who sent the message.
Yeah.
And the text that you get back, it says, "You don't know me, but I've been watching you. Actually, you know a little bit about me. This is Barfield. How about coming over for another visit? I promise that the thugs will not be there."
Yeah, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Public location.
So the message that comes back says, "Unfortunately, I am bedridden. But how about this? You come to the front gate of the mansion, and we can at least have a preliminary conversation there by the front gate."
So I think I'm not gonna reply right now
Okay.
because what I really want to do is I want to hold off and give Dylan a chance to talk to Chuck and see if they can like arrange something.
Okay.
Gotta bring my security detail.
Okay.
Uh, and I'm going to try to arrange like a show with a Fisher King. Like, I don't. I guess I just need to know if like Dylan is still in the band. Like, I don't really care that much about playing it out.
Okay. Okay. Why don't we, I have a number of notes here as to like what is hanging in the air right now. So why don't we, for today, bring it to an end there, if that's okay?
Yeah.
And, there's definitely a lot of irons going in the fire right now. So, have a lot of things to follow up on. Before signing off, we could go around one time and people can do a kind of quick stars and wishes, things that you enjoyed about this session and things that you maybe want to put into play for the upcoming session. Walter, why don't we start with you?
Yeah. Stars for the definitely for you, Robbie, for really bringing a lot of life and personality to the demons and to Diana and everything that's going on around us. That's been very cool. And I was really digging like how Dylan's like relationship with Belle has been like. I feel like it's taken some interesting turns this session as far as like kind of giving in a little bit more to like, okay, that the power that Belle has, and I feel like the weight of that on Dylan. So that's super been cool to see. As far as wishes go, I think I've kind of been like thinking about all the things that are happening to Shawn now, and I feel like Shawn is getting to like what's going to be some kind of a turning point. I think because I think Shawn has been like really been like Shawn's not used to having influence and or even feeling like he belonged, right? Like those are just not parts of his identity before. And now he feels like he belongs to the Eighth Laurel. He's like important to the Eighth Laurel, important to Diana, has influence over people via social media and just getting people to do things. And I think he's like riding this high of all of that. And not really processing all the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially the whole thing about like and I think he's kind of like pushed aside like what happened to Aaron. Like he lost a bit of humanity when that possession of Aaron's body happened. But I think for the most part, he's like just tried to ignore it. But as player knowledge, I think Aaron is like, or Shawn is ignoring this, but I think, it says that when a demon hops bodies, like the old host just like dies, right?
That is a possibility. Yeah, they can either be this, they can die sometimes, or they can just be this kind of empty shell. It can kind of turn them into, it almost seems like a kind of zombie is another possibility.
Yeah, but they don't go back to being the same.
No.
And like I'm imagining that being like a big moment for Shawn. Like I think seeing that is going to be an important point in Shawn's story.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of like seeing a lot of stuff building toward this moment where Shawn is like hit in the face with the reality of what's going on, and like the consequences of the things that right now just seem like, you know, like he's floating on air on cloud 9.
Right.
So that's like, I'm seeing things building really interestingly for Shawn that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jenny, how about you?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed all the character reactions, and I love the way both of you play your characters. Walter, like, I really enjoy your commitment to like playing Shawn and to like really, it's just hilarious. And just everything about Shawn, really. And then like the way you use your expressions. Robbie, I admire your ability to keep like a straight face. You kind of like differentiate between the characters. Like Diana was like amazing in this slimy, bad influence way. And Aaron, like, he seems cool until you actually like talk to him, and then he just says like those callously demon things. And I guess like it was also really interesting for me seeing Belle, because I think we got to see both sides of it, where on one hand it's like this very driven and violent demon, and on the other hand there's something that seems almost kind of naive about it, and I think we're seeing that come into play through its interactions with sketchy porn websites and Demon and Aaron. Yeah, and the whole Belle is realizing the potentials of anonymous violence was not something I saw coming, so that was just a really cool shocker. As far as wishes go, I'd say that like I like to see more opportunities for the characters to kind of step up and move their own character arcs forward, because right now it feels like they're being very reactive in a lot of ways. But it also feels like we're naturally like coming to that point because we're starting to get closer to the climax.
Yeah.
I would love to see more of the revealer, actually. I was so excited when the revealer came up.
The revealer will be revealed, I guess, yes. Very shortly.
So sad.
Yeah, and, you know, and in terms of, I like your point, Jenny, about like, you know, getting, you know, the characters to kind of develop their own arcs. And I liked your move at the end of like, oh, okay, you know, Dylan is going to go to Chuck, right? Is where you're going to take Dylan next, and I think that'll be an interesting development to kind of see where that that conversation leads you. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'm continuing to enjoy both of your characters. I loved the scene in the car on the way back, and after, you know, the kind of gradual realization. And I love the way you know, that your characters were, you know, so slow to kind of come around to, like, even when they were being told something, that they were still like, okay, I don't get it. I don't get it. Right. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying, yeah, the kind of some of the improvisational role playing that's happening with both of you. That's been a real satisfying thing for me. Yeah, and I'm hoping, you know, next week we should have, fingers crossed, we'll have Alejandro back, so we will be able to kind of hold that scene with Dylan and Chuck, and we'll also see possibly whether what is his name? Erathiel. That's your
Erathael.
Erathael. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Erathael next week when we get maybe some type of meeting with the revealer.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% sure that I'm gonna be able to make next week, or that I'll be able to be on time. I might be like late for next week.
Okay.
Would that work out if I showed up at like 9 maybe? And
I think it would. I mean, because like it sounds like, you know, we already have a scene kind of set with Chuck and Dylan. And so we could definitely get something rolling with that. So, you know, do you want to just let us know later in the week when you have a better sense of what time you think you would be dropping in, and we can, you know, just plan around that?
Yeah, I think I can make it by 9. I'm just gonna have trouble like getting in at the very start. And then maybe we can save the conversation for when Alejandro's around. But just to throw out, like, it might be interesting to get like a rough timeline of like how long we're gonna play and the story arc. I'm thinking like I'm available for May, but maybe not to like say we need a hard ending at the end of May, but it might be interesting to like feel like we've completed like a major story arc by the end of May,
right,
assuming we're playing that long.
Yeah.
I would also appreciate some clarity on the timeline, because I might have some things like coming up soon on Saturday, and I don't actually know when it's going to be. So I need to know if I need to like free up my mornings, or if I can free up my mornings.
Yeah, I'm thinking that let me just, I am thinking, you know, because the way the game kind of gets written is it talks about these kickers. You have these kickers at the beginning, and trying to kind of complete the resolution of the kickers as like the you know, an ending for a chapter or a segment. So, and I'm really thinking that with, I mean, because a lot of the kickers I think are really starting to kind of come to a head right now. And I feel like maybe 3 more sessions that would be enough to kind of bring it to some type of conclusion. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So like sometime, you know, beginning to middle of May would be like the proposed time to kind of wrap it up.
Cool.
Okay. But yeah, we can you know, I'll give some more thought to that, but yeah, we'll kind of return to that conversation next week as well, and yeah, try to definitely get a kind of sense of when things would be wrapped up for us.
Okay, cool.
Okay. But you know, so I'll see you next week, and you know, I'll definitely plan on some scenes initially involving Dylan and Chuck, and then, you know, kind of have it hopefully set up so that then, you know, Walter, when you drop in, you know, we'll kind of take it from there.
Sounds good.
Okay. Have a great week, everybody.
You too.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.